You know that picture we're done? Thanks for coming to class today. We'll be done. Oh, you want more than that? Let's pray. Gracious Lord, open our hearts to you this day as we seek to better understand this book and what it says to us. Help us to be watchful for you in our lives and always seek to follow your guidance and direction. We ask this in Jesus' most precious name. Amen. So today's unit on chapter 13 is, I entitled it, Two Beasts and the Mark. So that's what we have. We're going to look at beast number 1, which is the political beast, and it's also the beast from the water. Beast number 2, which is the beast from the earth, and which is the religious beast. And then the one you probably all like is the mark of the beast. So is it 1 or is it 2? Mark of the beast.
2.
Number 2. But we'll talk about that. Hopefully we get there. So this is, of course, where we're at. We're in the little part that goes up. We're getting close. I would say next week, but next week we don't have class. There is a town hall meeting during class time. So you all are required to be here. If you're not here, I will take attendance and I will give you the test on Revelation, which are, no. How many beasts are listed in Revelation, by the way? Eric?
2.
Incorrect. There are 3, but 2 in this chapter. Actually, there's another beast listed 2 different times, so I don't remember if it's the same one or not. Trick question on you, Eric.
So when
So
I
this
answered
is
it
where we're
earlier,
at.
I was right.
We're in this spot in here, and specifically, of course, you saw it already. This is where we're at. We'll look at. And the interesting thing about the illustration is it's incomplete, or it's not quite accurate, because beast number 1 has 7 heads. How many heads do you see?
5.
I see 1. I don't know if you can see. Beast number 2 has 1 head. So that part's okay. And behind the beast, what's behind the beast?
The dragon.
It's the dragon. What's the dragon stand for? Come on, please. It's Satan, right? So Satan's behind it all, so we'll head off. Here's your summary. By the way, I went online and I found pictures of beasts, and there are all sorts of interesting pictures of Revelation. So this one's not bad. So here we go. Chapter 13 introduces us to 2 beasts. The first, a 10-horned, 7-headed beast out of the sea, seeks to destroy the woman, that is the church, which is the dragon. That's Satan, which the dragon, Satan, was unable to do in chapter 12, if you were with us then. This is the political beast, since it represents and symbolizes every human authority and everything in the human nature that the dragon can corrupt, control, and use in his warfare against the church. Again, that's the woman, and individual Christians who are her seed. So it's political, governmental, social, economic, philosophical, educational systems, even individuals. So the beast uses all sorts of stuff. Beast number 2, doesn't they look cute? I like this one. I found this one, The beast number 2 has, we'll catch more about it, a 2-horned beast, so this picture got it right, from the earth. Is a false Christ and often referred to as the religious beast. Its role is to assist the first beast in its efforts to destroy the church. It does so by inspiring the human population of the earth to worship the first beast, whose mortal wound was healed, and make an image to the beast, which had been mortally wounded and had come back to life. We're going deeper in all that stuff. This is just your level 1 thing. Finally, we are introduced to the mark of the beast, number 666, which is most often identified with Nero. We'll get to that, why it's identified with him. The mark protects the beast's followers during the warfare conducted by the dragon against the church. If Nero truly is the person to whom the number 666 refers, he is a type. This is typological stuff. We talked about that last time, or model of what the beast really represents. We'll get back to him anymore. Anyway. Level 2 didn't work out the exact way I wanted to. Level 2 was 4 pages. So 59 points, I think, or something. So I printed that out. We're not going to go through that in detail. If you want level 1, level 2 is here. Level 2, I put them on separate sets. So you could do that if you're interested. So let's see. And we're jumping directly in. I like this guy. We're going to take a close look at it. Because of the length of all the stuff we need to talk about today, we're just going to drop the text in at the appropriate times. And so, somebody read verse 1 for us.
And I saw a beast coming out of the sea, having 10 horns and 7 heads, and upon its horns 10 diadems, and upon its heads the names of blasphemy.
Blasphemy. That's always a fun word, right? So where does it come from?
Out of the sea.
Okay. I like this picture too. This is, oh, I forgot I had this set up. Come on. Go back. I keep getting too anxious. Clue to self. Don't make it fancy or gets it too hard. Okay. Can I push you once? I can push you once. Okay. Again, comes out of the sea. Same term used for beast that you saw in chapter 11, verse 7. That's where it is. Other one, Eric. So here is another interesting picture of the beast. What does the beast look like?
A leopard.
We'll go on. We'll come back to the beast. Got a better picture to come out. Same text. It comes out of the ocean. The ocean is the sea is in the Old Testament especially is a place of turbulence, violence, and stuff. And so the Hebrew people didn't actually like to go to the sea at all. But out of that is where all of these political powers and all. This is a picture from my last church. Took this picture. This is a window that's behind the pulpit. And the reason I put it there is, what's the picture of? What do you see?
The church clinging to Christ.
Clinging to the cross in the midst of a turbulent sea. So I thought that's a good. We're going to fight our dear beast by clinging to it. Yeah. Very nice thing. There's a piece of art on that. You can look it up later as well. 10 horns, 7 heads. This is interesting. I like this one. All sorts of people come up with crazy pictures and all. So you see 7 heads. It looks like we'll come back to that part till we get ahead. And this is really a reference to Daniel. Daniel saw 4 beasts come out of the sea. I'm not going to go into this picture in detail because this is from the book of Daniel. I'm just borrowing some things. There are 4 beasts. What's the first beast in Daniel? It looks like a lion. Look at the face. It's a lion. Second one is a bear. Third one is leopard. And then the fourth one is a really weird type one. Don't know exactly.
Looks like a bull.
And notice the pictures. So where did they come from? The 4 beasts come from the sea, right? They all come from the sea. My wife says, don't ask the class things because you can't hear what they say. They talk. You have to talk loud for me. I'm going to double check. It's up as loud as I can. But anyway, that's Daniel. That's from Crossways, which is some interesting stuff. And so the 7, I think, and this is pretty good. You know, the 7 heads emphasize that this is an agent of the dragon. So it's not going to do all the stuff by itself. It comes here. It's going to help the dragon do its best. 10 diadems, sign of authority, sign of dominion. But notice they're not on the heads, but on its horns. The dragon had it on its heads. That's the only one. Neither of the 2 beasts we'll find there will do that. So it really emphasizes who's behind it. The mastermind of it all is the devil. And that's what, we'll see this later on too. The head, they believed back then, is the seat of intelligence. You think it's still the seat of intelligence? No, it's not bad. Okay. And so the dragon would motivate these fellows to carry out its schemes. And so, fun stuff. So a lot on this. 10 diadems. Individual authorities will act on their own authority. On the horns suggests their own authority. And this is the part that caught my eye. That God will allow them to carry out their actions. Think about that. God allows this to happen. Question, does God have the power so it doesn't happen?
Yeah.
I'll ask the second question. We won't answer it now. Why would he let this happen? We'll come to that as we go. Ooh, having 10 horns on. Oh, yeah. So, earthly power. It exercises earthly power over all sorts of stuff using various individuals. It's the dominant earthly power because it has 10. That number emphasizes that it's dominant over everything else in the earth. On earth is not his. That's from a song. Equal, right? And so behind it all is the good old. Oh, I even brought up blasphemy. Blasphemy, the act or offense of speaking sacrilegiously about God or sacred things. What is sacrilegiously? That's a big word too. I needed to define that too, huh? Is this speaking well?
No.
Not showing respect or to God. Making a mockery of something that's sacred.
And so what does he do? The beasts are supposed to blaspheme God and his saints. So welcome to be blasphemed, I guess, because this is happening even as we speak. Oh, here are some. I borrowed this from that picture. I don't know if you remember seeing that. So the 10 horns could represent all of these anti-Christian governments that will rise. And again, on the heads suggests they rise by use of brute force. So back in Daniel's time, we have, this would be a good picture of Babylon. Next major one that came were the Medes, then the Persians, and you're going to know this one, right? It's going to be Romans, yeah. So this is just a few of the various that would come forth, and that's actually from the book of Daniel again. I like this picture. This is interesting because each artist does something different with it. Notice it looks like, notice all the horns are on the one guy, one head, and none of them are on the other. So I guess we have a supreme head and a bunch of little heads too or something. And so the big head looks like a male lion, would you say? And the other heads then look like female lions or, I don't know, male lions before they get their mane or something like that. And notice what you see. Do you see a leopard in that picture?
Yes, on the bottom.
Do you see a bear in that picture? Where do you see the bear?
In the feet.
In the feet. Those are feet. And the mouth of a, does it look like a lion to you?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's one of the type thing. And so the leopard's pouncing on its prey, rend and tear, that's what the feet of the bear could be. The mouth of the lion, oh, I don't know. How do lions, they kind of rip and just devour? Well, I don't know. Not a good thing either. So that would be not exciting. It's very similar to the fourth beast in Daniel 7 from that set of pictures. I drew those guys up. Interestingly enough, it's the exact opposite order. In what you just saw, we had the leopard, the bear, and the lion. And here we have the lion, the bear, and the leopard. The way it looks to me is like John almost is looking back and sees in that order. So then he sees the first one. But by his time, the first three, no, I can't go there. I'm sorry. It's just interesting that I'm interested.
It's supposed to be.
Harry was the guy who was responsible for all these weird illustrations. I'm interested in what the bear is holding in its mouth. I guess they're bones or something, but they're strange bones. I don't know. It just looks interesting to me. I'll ask Harry when we get that. Interesting guy. Okay. Verse 2. We finally got to verse 2. Somebody read verse 2 for me, please.
And the beast which I saw was like a leopard, and its feet were like those of a bear, and its mouth was like the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave to it his own power, and his throne and great authority.
So how many beasts does John see here? He sees one, because the first three that Daniel talked about have come and gone. They're no longer around. And so the fourth beast is active at that time. It seems to me that the fourth beast that Daniel foresaw looking in the future is the same one that John is referred to. Some people would disagree with that. Like I said, it seems to me that it's the same one, or at least it's serving the same function as that. Well, that one's not. That's a better view of it. Notice his horns on this one. It's interesting if you think about it. I hadn't thought about it, but the pictures make me think about it. If you have 7 heads and 10 horns, everybody doesn't get the same number of them, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about it? I've never thought about that before. I don't know. It's probably not a big deal, but it's interesting. It seems to imply to me, and this is just me, that some of them have more power than the other ones. I don't know. Maybe so, maybe not, type thing. But the 10 horns, it kind of associates it with the 10-horned dragon that we saw in chapter 12, verse 3. And that dragon is, we know, who? Whom? Whom or whom? Whichever. Who or whom? It's Satan, right? Definitely so. But unlike the 4th beast in Daniel 7, there are 7 heads. That's again more evidence that this fellow is identified as working under the devil, being his working person. Interesting. Dragon gave its own power and his throne and great authority. Remember the woman from chapter 12? Woman stands for the church, right? And so the dragon was unable to destroy the woman in chapter 12. And so what happens? He brings forth the beast, and we'll see another beast, to carry out his warfare against her. And again, all of this is happening in the time between the ascension and the second coming of Christ. So technically, it's happening now. The more we study the book of Revelation, the more I study it, I go, that looks interesting. This stuff that's happening in the world, it kind of seems like Revelation stuff, doesn't it? So I've dropped both verses there. In John's time, it's logical that the beast did represent Rome. However, Rome will fall, and so Rome becomes really like a type or a symbol for all tyrannical powers that would rise in the future. The one that's most often identified and listed would be from the 20th century. And what group would that be? Probably
Russia.
Hitler, right? And all of that. So that's what we read most about when you're looking at all this fun stuff. Yet, as it points out, we need to extend that, because this can be, the beast can be a symbol for any power that rises in that. And notice this emphasizes political, governmental, social, economic, philosophical, educational systems, and even individuals. So almost anything can technically serve as the beast in it. And as it says here, that no one person will exhaust all that the beast signifies, and being worldwide at all times in various ways and various times. I put this guy on the side because, first of all, I wanted to put the words there to fit in the little thing. But also, he's blown away by this news. The Roman Empire was at times so diabolical and terrifying in its opposition to Christianity and the church that it would become a model and type of all succeeding tyrannical governments and human powers and peoples. Still with me? We're still together? Okay, just checking. Make sure. And we have, we're still on it. So who's the real enemy? What's the picture trying to show? Who's behind everything?
Satan.
The dragon is
Satan.
Satan. He's behind all of it. And you got to remember that. He gives his power to do all of this. So the Roman Empire serves as a vassal, something under him to work. The beast owes its position to Satan, and it rules by his authority and sanction. And I think we finally come to verse 3. Who would like to read verse 3?
And one of it says was as if it had been fatally wounded unto death, but its wound of death had been healed.
Would that draw your attention if you saw this? Literally? Oh yeah, that would draw. Couldn't find a real good picture of it. I found this one, So I noticed they chose one of the heads that had two horns to do it. So it tries to emphasize that a particular ruler will not remain forever. Instead, they'll come and go, and can be different people at different times. And I think that's the most common interpretation of what that one is trying to say. By the way, all of these interpretations, if you want to choose something else, go for it. You're free to do so. But you'll find all you have to do is go online and you can find all sorts of amazing, and I mean amazing interpretations. Some of them go pretty crazy. Nero is the one who's usually associated. It's usually him. His reign was a wicked reign, yeah, and he initiated persecutions of Christians in Rome. So he's kind of the picture of this. I don't know if you know much history about it, but he was condemned to death by the Roman Senate. Instead of having this public death, he committed suicide. Even though he had a public funeral, the rumor is going through that he's still alive, that he escaped to Parthia. I pulled up a map from some other stuff. Forget the other things around there. The big lasso was around.
Yeah.
That's the area it came from. So it's over in that area. And today in the world, that would be what country? We're in Iran, Iraq area type thing. Over in that type of thing. This is actually a map of Alexander the Great's empire, part of it at least. So I borrowed it from that. It's the best map I thought it was a nice map to do. And so after this, he's rumored, this is the rumor that's going through the Roman Empire. Wouldn't you love to be ruling the Roman Empire and have this rumor go through? That actually Nero is alive, he's raising an army in Parthia, and he's going to come back to Rome to take back his throne. Wouldn't you love that rumor if you were the ruler type thing? And even after his death, people claim to be Nero. I'm Nero. I've come back from the dead. Who knows? All these crazy things that people do. And so even by the end of the first century, the rumor eventually died, but some people believed, interestingly, that he could rise from the dead and reclaim his throne. So he's the most logical person to think of that. And I put him behind all of this because he's really a type of anyone who could serve in this position, anyone who could have this type of thing. And the emphasis, there will be many human powers that represent the beast. Oh, typology. Here's the fancy word. The study interpretation of types and symbols, originally, especially in the Bible. So he's a symbol of what could come. So what type of tyrant? You have a person who is wicked in their rule, who persecutes Christians. And, well, we see those in history as well. There are always people who will overthrow, replaced by others, and will long, some people will long for that ruler who is so great. This I quoted Brighton. Oh, I hope, yeah. Whenever people actually engage in formal worship of the state and its leaders, or when they place their hope and trust in human institutions and affairs, and resort to them in the place of God, they are worshiping the dragon because he encourages such idolatry. I saw a video of a Korean person, a woman, I believe it was, who had escaped from North Korea. And she said in every official room or building in North Korea, there's a picture of whom? And so it's almost like, ooh, that kind of fits with this, doesn't it? It kind of fits like that. I don't know. And I thought, interesting. I have strange thoughts. So I don't know. You ever have strange thoughts when you think of studying Revelation brings all sorts of strange thoughts before my mind anyway. But it's always interesting to see that anytime you have a new president, what's one of the first things they do? They take down the picture of the old president and put up the picture of the new president. Mm-hmm. And so if you like President Trump, he's done that. But if you like President Biden, what did he do? He took down all the pictures of President Trump and put his pictures up. So, I mean, that's what all presidents do. And I think. So, I don't know. It's interesting. Trust human institutions and affairs and resort to them in place of God. It's almost like you can see that a lot of people have done that in today's world, right? We're not putting trust in God like we used to do. Oh, here's new. This is 3b and 4. Somebody read this for us, please.
And the whole earth was full of amazement at the beast. And they worshipped the dragon because he gave his authority to the beast. They also worshipped the beast, saying, "Who is like the beast, and who is able to go to war with it?"
And so the answer is nobody, right? On earth is not his. Who can go to war? Oh, I like this picture. I like this one. This one you can see the leopard type thing, and you can see the feet of the bear, and then the heads of, well, at least the first one is lion, the others are leopards. There need to be more of lions as well, type of thing. No one can stand up against the beast. No one, not even Christians. Eh? So Christians will suffer because of the dragon's warfare, because the beast is working, and Christians will never worship the beast, and suffers oppression during the time. In certain countries around the world, you can see that's a suppression. I think with chapter 12, I put up that map. Yeah, the map of today of the oppression that's going on Christians around the world in many countries. It occurs. And so what is the church to do? What are we to do? Turn the other cheek? Because it's a spiritual warfare. It's not an earthly warfare. By nature, I think we want to do the earthly stuff, but it's not that. And there was given to it, that's to the beast, a mouth speaking things, great things and blasphemies, and authority to be active for 42 months. There's that same time frame, was given to it. And it opens its mouth for the purpose of blasphemies against God, to blaspheme his name in his sanctuary, and those dwelling in heaven. So everybody is affected by the beast, but most affected are Christians, those who believe in God and are still on the earth. They're the focus of what the beast is trying to do, great things. Blasphemies, great things is not defined. I don't know exactly what that would be. But in all of this, it seeks to take faith away from you and me, and instead outlaw the witness, outlaw their faith. I was reading in England, I think it is, right? In England, there's a law now in a certain, so close to an abortion center, you cannot even pray. And so a lady was put in jail for praying silently in her head, not even. So the cop comes up, I'm sorry, is it a bobby in England? Something like a bobby came up to her and said, "Are you praying?" And she honestly said yes. And so she was incarcerated for praying in public. And she wasn't talking to anyone who was coming. She wasn't, no signs, none of that type of stuff. So for praying in faith. And the other interesting thing in Scotland, I read that in Scotland, that it may be that if your home happens to be within 150, I'm going to use yards, because I think it was meters, 150 meters, let's say, of that place, technically, if you're praying in your home, that could be against whatever that law they have there as well. So you see glimpses of some of this strange stuff. Don't believe me in those things? Look it up. You could search it. Do a Google search, you'll find that. Because there's all sorts of crazy things happening in the world today. Behind all of it, again, that's why I keep putting this guy behind. Rome isn't the real enemy. It's who's behind it. And the authority to make war with the saints and to conquer them was given to it. That's the beast. And also authority was given to it over every tribe and people and tongue and nation. So he has power over everything on the earth. And so the woman, her seed, that's you and me, are in trouble. Throughout the whole time, from Christ's ascension to the end, she will have no relief from the beast's oppression. Where does the authority come from? It comes from Satan. He's behind all of this stuff and continues to cause trouble and problems. And all those dwelling upon the earth will worship it. Every person whose name was not been written in the book of the life of the Lamb, who was slain from the foundation of the world. So the church will not perish. However, it will have difficulties in time. Everyone whose name is written in the book of the life of the Lamb who was slain from the foundation of the earth. And so really the book of life, a metaphor, as it states there, for symbolizes the names are written in God's mind and God's heart, and he knows everyone by name. And that's amazing that God knows each of you by name. You may not think you're very important, but you're important enough that God knows you, and that he wants no one to take that faith out of you. And yet he allows all of this to happen. Every person. Oh yeah, more on this. It's interesting. It's called not just the Book of the Lamb, but the Book of the Life of the Lamb, because of the Lamb's victory, what Jesus has done, his suffering, death, and resurrection, and ascension. And the major thing I've learned also in the study of Revelation is we need to emphasize the ascension, because this is when all of this stuff starts to happen. So if anyone has ears, it says, listen. Is that any place else in the Bible?
Yes.
Who says that?
Yes.
50-50 chance can be Jesus.
Yes.
He was ears to hear, let him hear. So listen to what he says. God seeks to bring forth repentance and faith. Continue to be patient, even in the midst of suffering, which will be of short duration. And we have from back in chapter 10, if I remember right, we have the saint crying out, how long, Lord? How long will it happen? God allows this to happen. And so we should not resist the persecutors. Reminds me of Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, right? Question, did Jesus have the power at that point to say no and not to be taken? Sure.
Yes.
But again, that's during his state of humiliation, when he's not always using all of his powers as God according to his human nature. And so he allows himself to be taken. And so we are not to resist, but we should stay firm in faith. Oh, I brought it back, made her even bigger. It's interesting. God continues to say the time is short. How long ago was this book written about, do you think? A little over 1900 years. Is that short time? According to you and me, I know I'm old and I'm not quite that. May feel that way some days, but interesting. According to us, it may seem, but in God's view, it's not. And this time, again, all of this time is given for what? That we might tell people what we believe, and that through the Spirit's power, more people might come to faith. Christians will be tempted to take things in hands, but instead, what we need to do is focus on the true mission that we have, which is to tell people about Jesus. No human can stand. We already heard that in this text. On earth is not, is he? If anyone is for captivity, into captivity he goes. If anyone is by the sword to be killed, by the sword he by the sword is to be killed. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. The patience and faith. Patience is a tough thing, right? How do you get patience?
By waiting.
It's kind of one of those things, it didn't drop down, but it's learned over time. Maybe, huh? No matter what happens, whatever form, we are to suffer patiently in faith for the sake of the gospel and Christ. That's why God allows all this to occur. Oh, I even did why. I forgot that was there. I like this. Come on. Because it is by such suffering and trials that the faith of the saints shines forth in the world. Your faith can shine forth in the world. A little picture there is from Dwelling 114, the Joining Jesus people, and the emphasis to see your daily life as a mission trip. That's what you can do during this time between when Jesus ascended and when he comes back again for the sake of mission. This is your opportunity what you could do to tell people about Jesus. So the beast comes to seek to destroy, and God allows that so that our faith can shine forth in this time. Beast number 1. Beast number 2. I don't know. I really
Pastor,
like
I got a
this.
question.
I really like this one. It looks like he lost some teeth on the top, though.
Before we move on, I want to go back to that. We should not resist. How would we know that this is Satan's reign or his doing unless we test it? In other words, we should fight because it could just be some short dictator with a mustache that is bringing this about.
They don't have a mustache.
You know, it's just
Not
human greed rather than Satan and the end of the world.
Response back is that a dictator with a short mustache,
A short dictator with a
a short
mustache. Yeah.
dictator with a mustache, or with a short mustache. Could that not be the beast, if you will?
Well, right, it could be, but that doesn't mean we don't test it.
How would you test it?
Well, from what you said, would be an argument for us not to go into World War II. It would have been an argument for us not to go into World War I. And evidently, we were right to go and fight it because that wasn't the beast. Because we would have had no power over the beast.
The church didn't go to war. I mean, that was a secular nation decision, you know?
If the whole church decided they did not want to fight, the government wouldn't be able to send them. And there are no atheists in foxholes.
It's a statement you hear, but it's probably not true. I don't think it's still something. I don't know. Everything I read, everything I've looked at said that you cannot defeat. I don't know how exactly we go about and test them. I guess that's my question. I think the emphasis that we're to have is to be telling people about who Jesus is and what he means to our life through whatever comes in this life. And I think that's the focus that needs to be. I don't know. I'm afraid. Eric.
I would say the difference that needs to be made is it a physical beast or is it the spiritual beast of it's there but you can't actually see it, touch it?
Spiritual beast being used by using different persons and organizations to cause all of this different.
Right. So then the fighting it wouldn't be.
I'm sorry?
So then the fighting the beast, you'd be fighting whatever thing it's using in today's world,
Right.
not actually fighting the beast itself, which means you can kill whatever thing it's controlling, but you can't kill the beast itself. I think that's where
The beast would just move to that new power
it would just go to the next
and
power.
abuse it. Yeah.
Depending on your political viewpoint, don't want to get political, folks. Some people will say, beast. I mean, some people in the previous administration would say, beast. Right? I mean, that's what depends on how you view stuff. And so when the EU started, that was, this is the mark of the beast. And the European Union started. You read that, right? And all this stuff. So there are all sorts of interpretations. I'm going to let that sit because I have 20 minutes to get through 30 minutes of stuff. So we'll see how we do. Okay. I'm going to read because I'm going to go quick. And I saw another beast coming up out of the earth, and it had 2 horns resembling a lamb's, but it was speaking like a dragon. And this is the beast from the earth. Interestingly, in Daniel 7, all the 4 beasts come from the sea, but they represent the 4 kingdoms that arise from the earth. So it's similar but different. This beast is from the earth, and so it's different from beast number 1. This is beast number 2. And I got this guy saying it's an insider. He's working inside and among people, and he will insinuate himself into people's confidence and lead them astray. I came across the word psyops. You know what psyops are?
Yep.
Technically, if you look at a dictionary, it's psychological operations. Who's famous for psyops in this country?
CIA.
That was fast. Yeah.
It's interesting you said it that way.
And the word came up obviously when stuff was released
Scotty,
about
huh?
President Kennedy.
CIA.
being assassinated. That's when the word came up. That's how I saw it again. So yeah. So working inside the people, and this one has two horns, speaking like the dragon. And so I don't know. This looks like a bad sheep. You see, it's a bad sheep. He looks like an evil one. But I didn't use him because I like the other one. Looked kind of cute in the midst of it. And I think the cuteness is what draws people to him. One head, two horns. And so less than the other one. Notice the first beast is much scarier, if you will. And so this one emphasizes meekness and innocence. Yet it's deceptive because it has a voice like the dragon. And it tells you who it's from. Who it's from. It is from the devil himself. Oh, and false Christ. He's in reality a false Christ. And so he represents tyranny of human power. I'm sorry, first beast. First beast represents tyranny by human power and enterprise, all those things. The second beast from the earth represents religious tyranny. And so first one's often called the political beast, second one often called religious beast. And so we're looking at the religious beast at this point.
Is this the beast we see at
Oh,
work
yeah.
in the
And
church?
so what's interesting is that this religious beast will only be listed here in these
Go
verses.
ahead, yes.
I'm afraid.
So this is actually her question, but is this the beast inside of the church? Because he's an insider.
He will be using inside the church. Yes, sir. So thank you very much. Am I the beast?
Thank her.
No, am I the beast? But again, this is listed. He's listed only short term, if you will. But he kind of morphs in the later of the false prophet, the harlot, and all. So those kind of seem to be where this individual. I don't know. Do I call him an individual for this beast ends up type thing? And so, yes, this is where we were getting. So apostate Christianity, pseudo-church, Antichrist, that's where he comes. Ultimately, yes, this is what this fellow would be about. He's going to be working on the inside to try to take stuff down. John talked about it. Test the spirits. So you can test the spirits, sir. So that's what you can do. Test the spirits to see who they're from. Many false prophets have come into the world. Every spirit that does not confess Jesus is not from God. Antichrist. And so it's the battle. Church and the dragon. And that's the second beast, the religious beast, exercises all authority of the first beast in its presence, and it makes the earth and those dwelling in it so that they will worship the first beast whose mortal wound was healed. So its task is to point to the first beast. And this kind of reminds me of John the Baptist. What was John's task? To point to Jesus, right? The Messiah, the Christ who came. So, second beast points to the first beast and tries to get people to believe in it. And so the beast of the earth, spiritual power, which assists the first beast in its efforts to destroy the church. The second beast, the religious beast, acts with and under the authority of the political beast so that the political beast can really have this hold on all of the human race. And come on. The mortal wound that was healed, people will be drawn to this, and definitely drawn to this. You could see it in Rome. That's pretty obvious. In Hitler, you could see it. Others continue to talk to various other regimes in time that could sit this. But the point is, each generation can deal with this issue and this problem, even ours today. And it produces great signs. so that it could even make fire come down out of heaven onto the earth before men. In the Old Testament, who brought fire down?
Elijah.
Yeah? Okay. So he can produce, notice it's not just signs, but great signs. And so that has to be pretty big. And so it's kind of like a pseudo miracle. I brought the rabbit from the hat. I don't know, did you see the little thing come on by itself? I pulled that off. And so these miracles are supposed to show its spiritual authority. But they're fake. They're not real. They're not from God. And so they have to be tested. And so they're trials because you have to watch out. You know, back in 1 John, the quote that was up said you have to test them because they'll see them real, but they're not from God. They'll be here I am, there I am. Oh, here we go. From Mark 13. And then if anyone says to you, look, here is the Christ, or look, there he is, do not believe it. For false Christs and false prophets will arise and perform signs and wonders to lead astray, if possible, the elect. But beyond God, I have told you all things beforehand. So Jesus talks about that. You have to watch out. This is what's coming. Elijah. I thought of Pharaoh's magicians. Remember that? Pharaoh's magicians and dealing with. And so what does Moses do? Moses throws down his staff. And what happens? So what do Pharaoh's magicians do? You know, if I were a Pharaoh magician, which I'm not, I would think it'd be cooler if I could have mine swallow up theirs, his, right? But what happens? The exact opposite. And after so long, I didn't look it up. Is it one of them? They can't continue to do it. It's too hard for them to follow up, and so they fall behind in this. So I thought of actually a Pharaoh's magicians trying to match, and they couldn't do it. So this is an attempt that when the beast does this to show spiritual power and authority over all things. 14. And it deceives those dwelling upon the earth by the signs which were given it to perform before the first beast, saying that those dwelling upon the earth to make an image to the beast which has the mortal wound of the sword but came back to life. So what's it going to try to do? So we're going to deceive people, and as we deceive people, they will start to worship the beast because of it has come back to life. The emphasis with the second beast is to try to deify the political beast, to encourage its worship, and few are able to resist. Few can resist. It's a good book. If you want to read a book that talks about this, Paul Meyer, from the famous Meyer family of LCMS, More Than a Skeleton, which this is a follow-up to the books Skeleton, I can't think of it. Skeleton, something about skeleton, which is a really good book. So if you like kind of Indiana Jones type thing, that's what this guy is. He's an Indiana Jones type guy, but he's a Christian. And of course, since Paul Meyer writes it, he's a Lutheran Christian, and he does amazing things. And so here, what would happen if there's supposedly Christ returns for an in-between return? It's not mentioned in the Bible, so it's in between. And so he does all these signs and miracles. And so it's just this stuff that we're talking about. Sir?
Is this a fictional book or non-fiction?
Fiction. It says a novel. So it is a novel. Yeah. It's actually pretty good. I usually read it on vacation. Probably read it again. So highly recommended, but it kind of fits with what we're talking about. That's why I dropped out that picture at that time. And there was given to it, that's the beast, the ability to put a spirit or breath, however you choose to translate that, into the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast could also speak, and so that it could make it so that those who would not worship the image of the beast would be killed. It's television. Who are the people that aren't going to worship the image of the beast?
People of the church.
Who's the real enemy? Whoever does not worship could suffer the penalty of death. The three little crosses is to remind me we're moving to part 3 of our story, which is about the mark of the beast, the number 666. By the way, Hebrew characters, which technically spell Nero Caesar. So we'll run into that in a few minutes. Hopefully, we'll get there. And this is the second beast we're talking about, forces all, the small and the great, and the wealthy and the poor, and the free and the slaves, so that there would be given to them a mark upon their right hand or upon their forehead, and that no one could be able to purchase or sell except for the one who has the mark, the name of the beast, or the number of its name. And so everyone is branded, if you will, right? You know this picture? Who's this? Anybody know this one? It's from, so you see the brand on the guy? What's the brand?
Yellowstone.
What letter is it?
Yellowstone.
It's a Y. This is from the series Yellowstone, which has been really big. I don't know. If you never watched the show, you probably heard it. Ever hear about Yellowstone? This is what. And so this is Jimmy. He's branded. And I chose Jimmy because he's the best name in the series, by the way. And so he has a brand over his. But yes, people were branded. This is an example of that. So the mark of the beast could be described as a brand. It's the charagma, not charisma, but charagma type thing. And so it could be a mark, a stamp, a brand, a tattoo, an image, a representation. So this person is saying, I belong to this. So if you have the mark of the beast, who are you saying you belong to?
Satan.
The beast, i.e., behind the beast is operating Satan, right? So you're telling whose side you're on. Some have suggested that John didn't expect the mark visible to the eye. That could be. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. I like this, how they have the little, notice we have the little diadems around the horn. Remember we saw that? It was talking about this beast would have them. But the dragon, the beast can recognize them. If it's not visible, they will be able to recognize even at that point. And it forces all, and no one could purchase it. Okay. Saints of God are sealed on their foreheads. We saw that back in chapter 7 and in chapter 9. Sealed. What's the seal that we have? Are you marked?
Baptism.
You're sealed with the cross
Yeah,
of Christ.
interesting, right? And so, holy baptism, does it leave a physical mark? Only if the pastor drops the baby, right? I'm always frightened of that. I think. No. But it can be recalled by a symbol of the cross. I told you about the kid that had this on the back of his neck, right? Fortunately, he didn't have his forehead. That would be bad for wedding pictures or anything. But seal on the forehead. Forehead, again, is the seat of knowledge. And that's symbolic of why that. Because it tells you that your mind, your intelligence would belong to the one who's represented by the seal, i.e. to Satan, through the beast. Can also protect those who wear it. Protect it here, they would, in the case of people of God, the seal that we have from God can protect us from being destroyed by the dragon and the beast. But this could protect these folks as well. Yeah. When I was writing this out, I thought about the blood over the door of the Passover, right? What was the purpose of the blood over the door at Passover?
So that God would pass over the house and not kill the
Yeah,
children.
Passover. So it really was a way, a sign to show that you were protected by God. And so it talks about these folks being, about the followers of the beast being protected by the warfare that the dragon is doing. And they can live without fear of what could befall Christians. But also could be on the hand. It's the right hand that is, and the hand would signify the actions of the person done at the direction and approval of the beast. And I found this as I was looking for stuff. It's hard to find stuff on the mark of the beast. Problem with this is it's the wrong hand. First of all, the person who did this, I did not do this illustration. It's the wrong hand, but what's it trying to point out? Have you heard about the people that are putting little things in? You know, our cat has one of these in him. The cat has one. You know, but there are people who are getting this, and it could do things, could serve as their keys, as their ID, their medical history, could serve as money type and all of that thing. So, but whoever did this, yeah, it's the wrong hand because you could see the hand. Should be on the right hand. But so this is what some people are doing with this stuff. Only those with the beast mark can make a livelihood legally in this. What does it mean if you don't have a mark? You're in trouble. You know about China today? Take a read through that paragraph. You can see video showing them. There's a little scanner. They put something down. If it's green, they get to go through and get to do whatever they wanted. If it's red, can't go. So it's happening. This is happening in China today. This part doesn't say religiously. Although, is it legal to be Christian in China?
Nope.
There's kind of an official church, but it's kind of, I don't know, that thing. So we see part of this, at least even today, in China, and in, maybe in other places too. And it forces all, the small and the great, and the wealthy and the poor, and the free and the slaves. Saints of God don't have the mark. God may not protect them from all the earthly things. He may not protect you from all of the things, even when you abide by the law. You can be hindered and persecuted. That's really what this is talking about. But you know, we're getting close to probably the thing that you wanted to know about this chapter. The name of the beast, or the number of its name. Name is represented by a number that Andreas from 6th century said that that's the counted number. Now, what's interesting is that both in ancient Hebrew and in ancient Greek, each of the letters of the alphabet was used to represent numbers, and they each had a value. And so Jewish people in particular did that. You can find examples of that. And so the number is 666. And I highlighted that because what does that mean? What is this? He who has the intelligence, let him figure out the number of the beast, for it is a human number, and the number of it is 666. I figured that I don't have intelligence because I can't figure it out. But there are some who can figure out the number. Not everyone. But here's how the number comes to be. Notice who I have in the back of the picture? It's Nero, because he's the one most commonly thought to have the number 666 is Nero. However, if you do the numerical value of the Greek letters Nero Caesar, it is 1005, not 666. Yet, if you transliterate it into Hebrew characters, first of all, I don't know who would transliterate it into Hebrew characters, but somebody did. And they came up with, guess what's the number? 666. That's how you get it. Only a part of John's recipients could have figured that out. I'm not smart enough to figure that out. I'm sure all of you are, but not me. So if here Nero is really the person that it represents, he's only going to be a type of that because he's dead by this time, probably 20 years or so. And so he's an example of what the beast represents, all the non-Christian forces. So some people go deeper and say 666, 6 is a number, so it's the unholy trinity of the dragon, the beast from the sea, and the beast from the earth. So we have all of those working in. But in the context of chapter 13, the number is the number of the beast from the earth, the second beast, yet it also applies ultimately to the dragon who's behind all of it. And you could say even to the first beast, the beast of the sea, or the political beast. Applies to all three members of the unholy Trinity. And you can then, some people say, but if you add one to each of those, what do you end up with? The number 777. And so there is a holy Trinity. Who would that be? Oh, come on. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, right? Interesting. But I don't know if that's what it's really kind of trying to do there or not. I wanted to talk about this guy in our last minute that we have. The Ante-Shema. What's the Shema? Old Testament. Oh, happen to have that here. Hear, O Israel. The word here in Hebrew is Shema. Hear, O Israel. The Lord our God, the Lord is one. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. And these words that I teach you shall be on your heart. You shall teach them diligently to their children, and shall talk of them when you sit on your house, when you walk on the way, when you lie down, and when you rise. You shall bind them as a sign on your hand. On your hand. And they shall be as frontlets between your eyes, which puts them where? Is that the forehead?
Mhm.
And so, the number 666, what the artist here is trying to say is this is the anti-Shema. It's that which is against what Christians stand for. Because in Deuteronomy 6, the Jewish people were to put this on their forehead, so representative of thoughts, put it on their hand, representative of actions. And so that's what the beast is doing. He's flipping it, taking that which is godly and making it evil, and putting his mark where? On the place of your thoughts, on the place of your actions, so it can take over you and completely and fully. Isn't that interesting type thing? So this is the picture from today. This is the picture, which is not next week. Again, on the 13th will be our next class. Next week, you are encouraged to come to the town hall. We'll expect to see you all there. Is that going to be held in the sanctuary?
Yes.
Probably. Oh, because there would be too many people. There'd be standing room only, right? People sitting on people's laps, because there would be thousands of people who are making. And this is what we'll be talking about next time. There's the two handouts for today if you're interested. Level 1, which is, you already saw that. Level 2, where you could have a little go through some of what we talked about today, is cut down because it would be 8 pages. We'll have a short prayer. Send John. Gracious Lord, help us in this time that we might truly see that you have marked us as your own. And even if we face, which we will, trials and troubles and tribulations on this earth, we know that you will keep us safe in faith until you call us to be with you for all eternity. Bless our time as we look and ponder these thoughts of revelation, and help us to always keep you at the focus of our lives as we treat each day as a mission opportunity to share about you for those you've placed into our world. So bless us as we go our way this day. We ask in your most precious name. Amen. Thus far the class. Thank you very much. You've been thoughtful.